All right. Ken asks, are there any specific concepts or services that tend to be challenging for candidates in the exam? That's a great question. I'll pass that to Jeremy first because I know he sat for both these exams already.
You got to pay attention to what the question is asking. Like my previous example, the organization wants to know, how can I save money by doing X, Y, and Z? You can read the question, two of the four answers are going to be correct off bat, but you have to choose which one is best for that question. Like, which one is going to save me money? So I know a spot instance is going to save me more money than an on-demand instance. So I therefore automatically know that on-demand instance is not going to be the answer. So you have to have that level of knowledge going into the exam when you sit for it, and pay attention to the actual exam guide, because it's really your cheat sheet to the test. Knowing what the exam is going to cover these services. So if you know those services that's on that exam guide, even though AWS have 200 services, you don't have to know all 200. Just know the ones that's on that exam guide and know them enough. They provide you a lot of documentation and stuff like that, but it's knowing what that service does and how does it work for your organization is how they're going to raise the question to you. So it's not necessarily the concept. It's more so like how to implement it. Which one is the best choice?
I think the other thing is that sometimes there are two things that do the same thing, but you use one over the other because of the functionality it gives you or the cost savings it would give you. So a good example of this is if I said you're consulting with an organization and they want to run a WordPress server, right? Which of the following services would you use to do that? Route 53, S3, Lightsail, and EC2. To run a virtual machine, I can either use Lightsail or EC2. The other two aren't it because Route 53 is DNS and networking. And then the other one I said was S3, which is storage and buckets, right? You may use that with the site, but it's not the site itself. So now it comes down to, okay, I know it's either EC2 or Lightsail. Now I have to read the question again and say, which of these two virtual machines is it going to be? And this is going to come down to, do I want a complete solution with everything, storage, networking, everything included, or do I want to have just the virtual machine? And if I want everything included, it's Lightsail. And it's usually very inexpensive, and it's a pre-bundled, easy-to-use option versus EC2, which is highly customizable, but I can use big machines, little machines, and it's much more complicated to set up. Either of those would work for a WordPress site. It just depends what's going to meet that customer's needs at the lowest cost or the lowest implementation cost, because Lightsail is easier to implement and I can get it up and running in 3 minutes, where EC2 might take me 5 or 10 minutes. All those kind of things go into it. So that's where I usually struggle on those exams, is figuring out what is the best. And it really comes down to, do you understand the services and what their features and drawbacks are for each one?